All right, guys, it's been a busy last couple of days. Wednesday, I made the trip up to the machine shop my good buddy Dave works at, T&T Race Engines in Gurnee, Illinois, and picked up my ignition box. And I have another MSD that I had him have tested, and it worked, and it was good, and we're going to put it in. We are going to change some of the wiring in the car, but when we go to wire in the MSD, we'll dive into that and why I'm going to do it that way. How I had it probably worked, but it is not what MSD recommends. And after talking with my buddy Dave, I kind of understand why now. But again, we'll get into that when I put it in. And it's not that much of a change. It's going to be stupid simple. We're going to keep our welding leads in, but we're going to isolate them. So anyway, the MSD box that was in the car was bad. It was breaking up, and then once you kind of saturated it, it got even worse. So maybe, we were losing power because the box was going bad. So who knows? And then I did find some discrepancies within my timing marks, but then I still always set total timing static off of marks. So we'll get into that later. For now, the car is running good. I got the HEI set up for the next race. That's what we're going to run. And I'm going to install the box, wire it in, and then we're going to swap the distributor back in and then hit the track and make some runs and make sure that everything's good. Because of that discrepancy, I don't want to go into a race with some unknowns. Right now, the HEI is trucking real good. I got it, I drove it on the street, beat on it. It is working as it should. And everything seems pretty damn good. It's not too bad. We might need a little bit of carb tuning because I feel like off the line I got a slight stumble, and it's not timing because I've gone fast and I've gone slow with the timing curve, and I think I need a little bit more nozzle out of it. I got plenty of fuel on the accelerator pump side, but I think I might have to change nozzles. But we're going to try it out once we get the MSD working and see what happens and go from there. I mean, we're going to fiddle with it. I did get an O2 sensor from my buddy Dave to put in there, see if it's still reading good and or bad. It may be my gauge, it may be the sensor, but we're going to put it in and try it out. We got to do air drop test and all that stuff. So, and then there's been talks in the last 2 days that really snowballed about building a big block Chevy to put in the car. Now, some of you guys might be saying like, oh, why are you going to put a Chevy in your Oldsmobile? Well, simply because I fucking can. And if you don't like it, well, you can go pound sand. After helping my friend put together his 351 Windsor, it really made me realize, like how restricted the Oldsmobile world is. And how cheaply that car will run 10s. It did 112 at 124 with a horrible 60-foot that we're still working on, but it will run 10s. And that's impressive for the money that he's got in that car. Which begs the question, like, why are people doing LS swaps? Well, the 351 Windsor works great. It's a really good engine. The heads he's got on there, he's just about maxing them out with the cam he's got. I mean, it's super streetable. It's got a 373 gear. We built that overdrive transmission for it. And car is happier than pigs and shit. And it's fast. It is fast. For what it is and what he's gotten, it is very impressive. And it just kind of makes you think because there's been a lot of time and effort to just get the car to where it has been. And we are still just falling shy of it. The fastest this car has gone is 11:48 at 113.9 miles per hour with a 154 60-foot, and we were winding her up there. And if people want to give me crap for wanting to put a Chevy in my engine, I don't think a lot of people have put in the effort like I have to stick with Oldsmobile power over the years and with a 350. I started out running like 13.9s and kind of worked my way up as the need for speed kind of ramped up. And yes, we use secondhand parts and stuff like that, but I'm not serious enough to drop the kind of money that some of these hardcore Oldsmobile guys drop on stuff because it's just not worth it. It isn't. Not at all. And I'm going to flat out say it. It's a waste of money because, yeah, cool, you're building an Oldsmobile, but you're spending twice as much as you would when you can make that type of power with a big block Chevy or a small block Chevy, etc., etc., etc. So, like, I know that right now I can probably put together a 383 stroker or even a 350 small block Chevy on pump gas that would make more power than this just because of the parts availability, the cheapness of the heads, and all that stuff. And at the end of the day, it just comes to like, I just want to do something different. I've been messing with the small block Oldsmobile from day one. I got this car back in 2007, in June of 2007. It's always been a 350. You know, the only times this car has been down the entire time I've had it is when we did the original body work and media blasted the frame and all that stuff, which was less than 2 years. And then we went to the track. I ran a 1390, and then we got it down to 1370s with the 350 that's actually in the Pontiac, which still makes good power. That car runs a 14.8 with a lot more weight. Then, you know, we kind of worked our way through the years and slightly got faster and faster and faster, and just we're kind of at our limit with what we have and with what I want to do and spend, to be honest with you. So it comes down to money. You know, some people want to spend a lot of money to prove a point or something. My whole point is that I could do what I can as cheap as possible with an Oldsmobile, and I'm not going to build a big block or add cubic inches because it's just not logical to me at all. It would have cost me a lot more to go 1140s with a big block Olds. I can tell you that for a few reasons. But, you know, I'm going to keep my opinion to myself because, you know, I have a lot of, even though I didn't spend money on the cylinder heads the first time that I had them done because I traded labor for body work, I have a lot of time into that body work and labor time. So really, to build this engine dollar for dollar, if you were to kind of start from scratch and have to pay somebody to port the heads and do everything, this engine would cost you north of $7,500 all day. But I have scrounged, I have horse traded, I've done all that. And for the type of power where I would like to go or do, I just can't do that with an Oldsmobile. You know, who the hell is going to have a secondhand stroker crank and rods and pistons that I could use? You know, I really need something to make this all work because we have all this cylinder head now that we can't utilize because I've ran out of camshaft. I think I could use a lot. I could use more cam. We definitely have the compression for it, but I can use more cam. You know, if I were to go to a solid roller, that's right there. You're talking about like a $1,500 investment all said and done, if you can even get the shit. You know, changing over to the 7/16 rocker arm studs, the Howard's rocker arms that are $400. You know, all this stuff adds up, and I have a lot of time and money invested in this engine to just kind of be mildly impressive. I mean, when I open up the hood and people see an Oldsmobile, they're impressed, and then they find out how fast the car is, and then it's a 350 on pump gas with iron heads, the people that know are just genuinely impressed. And that's the cool factor about it, is that, you know, this is a know-nothing combination, and people can obviously tell right away. It's not very exotic. We still have a stock balancer on it. I spin this thing to 7,000 RPM. Stock balancer, stock rod, stock crank, you know. I'm not afraid to blow it up. At this point, this engine owes me absolutely nothing. And the J-headed 350, we still got to get that together and get that on the run stand, and I might sell that engine, or I might make it a street engine for the Pontiac and put a hydraulic roller in it. That engine is very impressive. I mean, first time out, and it was hurt with a garbage tune, ran an 1158 at 113 with a horrible 60-foot because, you know, it wasn't tuned properly. We just, you know, had enough time to get it to the track before snow hit. And then in the fall, in the spring, it ran 1170s with almost a dead cylinder because we were pretty much running it on 7 cylinders at that point. Kept killing plugs. It was popping, and because, you know, we're oiling them down. But, you know, in the last few days, the talk about the big block Chevy came about because my boss had mentioned a comment about, you know, when I wanted to rebuild that 427 that came out of a 69 Impala, which I built a 463 for. And I got to thinking, man, I'd like that 427. And it's a little bit more that I would probably want to spend for an engine that I'm not going to utilize a lot of the parts, but I know the history on that engine, and buying used parts from people is really hard. So I do have a couple of feelers out there on parts and blocks and stuff, but I also have to talk with my machinist, because my machinist is the one who told me I have all this stuff for a big block, dude. It's all good stuff. And he made me a really good deal on all of it, and I'm like, I would take it. So I have to make something happen in the next couple of weeks so we can start laying the groundwork. But that engine is a long-term project, because we have to prepare the car for that. We have to cage it. So as soon as our bracket racing season is over, this year we're going to get serious, and we're actually going to take this thing apart. We're actually going to have to take it off the frame, box the frame, gusset it, fix some of the frame rail areas, and ultimately make it handle the power. And the biggest thing is going to be the cage. I'm torn between mild steel or chromoly, but we're going to see where it goes and what the budget allows and what the time is going to allow. But our bracket racing season is pretty much over in September. And as soon as we are done, this thing is coming apart. So there's going to be a big project going on in here. And then when this car is done, the goal is to bring my buddy's Mustang and cage that up in here, because he needs a better cage in that car, and I have the space to make it happen. So we're going to be cranking some work out here this winter. And hopefully you guys don't beat me up if we're going to Chevy Power. It's just a matter of, you know what, I've been building different engines and other engines for people, and it's like, you know what, I've just been building Oldsmobiles, and I've kind of hit a brick wall with them, and I really don't want to spend or invest any more money or effort in them, because it's going to get expensive from here. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but, you know what, I'm not going to insult the Oldsmobile world by saying what I really want to say, but the main reason why I've been running the 350 Olds and doing what I'm doing is because I'm 100% advantageous to the market. People, I think like a majority of the people end up with a 350 in their Cutlass, and they try to hop it up and they give up, and then I swarm in and pick up the parts. And I think over the years people caught on to what I was doing, and that the market has really died down for used small block parts, to be honest with you. And it wasn't just me. So I just, again, I'm not, where the hell am I going to find a used stroke or crank or used rods for a small block that are really good, at a good deal, at a good price? And, for the time and effort I have in this money, again, it's I have this transmission that, with the converter and everything, I think it's about $3,000 invested that's just sitting there. And I think we're going to just been putting that on that big block Chevy. I think just to do it, because that's what I want to do. I want to do something different. And, we're going to get the J-headed 350 running, and maybe we can get some dyno time and make that a proven runner and sell it, or put it in the car and run it and sell it. It's got a lot of good components and parts, and, obviously you guys have seen me put that engine together, and, obviously it got hurt, but we resurrected it. No big deal. Sleeved the cylinder, new rod, new pin, nothing else got hurt. So we'll let you guys go. Share, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. Let me know how much you hate me.